you and Flo both use the word stability when you talk about the summer. Can you just give us an insight into why you think that's so important? Because clearly you'll want to move the team forward as well, and there will be changes. But can you just give us a bit of insight?
I think the season gives us a strong platform. This first season with 14 new signings, so the performance was good. The connection between lads was good, and we are still room for improvement everywhere with this squad. So sometimes you might say this is the end of the story for 20-40% of the group because they are exhausted. The connection is not the same because you need freshness, you need ambition, and so on. And it's not the case at the minute. So it's probably really important to build on the foundations we created together, because we feel that we have so much to do with this squad. And then it's still important to add 2, 3, 4 players to help the starting 11, and probably the 16 core of the squad, and that's still an objective.
With Nelson and Bertrand, you said that they were available. How much training time have they had? Where do you think they are kind of in their? There's Jocelyn as well. Obviously.
Yeah, they train, but it's always different. Training session, 20 minutes 11v11, and a full game against Manchester United. So the gap is so big. Sometimes some of those players started because we had an emergency, and they had an opportunity because the position was empty. Now it's a bit different. So we have the possibility to manage the group because the group is full, and we don't need to rush a player with a start. So I think it's fair to say now you have to show during the training sessions. Maybe you'll get some minutes, and those opportunities will give you credit for the next one. It's more or less how we are working now.
With obviously Dan's appeal has been rejected, but if you had a chance as a club to have had discussions with the referees about your feelings on it, and what kind of feedback have you
I think we just have had an appeal, a classic appeal, and after that they rejected the appeal, and it's done. It's easy.
Can I ask a little bit about Eliza Regis? He's not had any minutes since he came back from obviously that long break. I know obviously you've got Brian on Wilson the last few weeks. His confidence is clearly up as a result of getting back over the system. Can you just talk a little bit about what you see Eliza at the moment?
We had this conversation this season. I think we have 2 strikers and a half. If we say Lee can play as a 10, as a winger, sometimes he played in different positions, but the game time is probably more for 2 in this situation. So Brian is doing well at the minute, is dominant in his position, and the second striker in the good spot at the minute is Wilson. They had the opportunity, both Eli and Wilson, to have some minute, and the best one at the minute, because it's always a question of dynamic and it's evolutive, was Wilson, and Eli has to wait. And doesn't mean that I don't trust Eli. I don't think that he's a good player, but this is the momentum, and you have to manage it. It's always hard because for a player, starting is key. It drives their life. If I'm a starter, it's really positive. If I'm on the bench, I'm not happy, and it's always the case for a footballer. But when you play in the Premier League, in a strong squad like ours today, you have to accept the competition. Otherwise, you can't sustain competitive life in this world. So it's part of the process, part of their learning curve. We support them, and they have to be patient.
Just asking you spoke about Lucha at the start there. In terms of when you have a situation like this, obviously without Dan for 3 games, is there part of you that maybe prioritises players who you know are going to be here next season, or are you just purely picking in terms of what you think best of?
Yeah, it's the main idea. We want to win this game, so it's a short-term vision. clear. It's really clear. And if it's a 50-50, maybe 1% will influence the decision. But in this case, I don't think it will be the idea. Lucha is a player of Sunderland, and we'll see at the end of the season if we go further or not, and he's 100% with us.
Sometimes in these situations there can be appearance clauses, but there's nothing like that. You're aware of with Lucha?
No, I don't.
Thanks.
You mentioned to Phil there, Bris, maybe 2, 3, 4 players to really kind of improve the core that you've got. That's clearly very different to what was happening last summer, and so I think the message has to be, hasn't it, that you've got to a point now where you don't need a repeat of last summer. You don't need that wholesale change. What you need is very specific areas that you feel you can strengthen.
Yeah, I agree. It's another stage of our journey.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's still important because the recruitment phase window will influence the whole season. If you make a mistake, so it's never easy to anticipate everything, and because you always assess a player in a different environment, so with different connections, with a different background, different teammates, different opponents. So it's hard to anticipate, but I think the structure now and the methodology are getting better. We are really well aligned with more people and more, I think, more tools, options to see the full market.
Yeah.
Before we had to make different decisions. We'll have a focus on that country. Now it's possible to go a bit wider, and we'll see, because it's always after 1 month, 2 months, and probably the season that we can see if it was a good connection or not.
And you've been asked about Lucharel. You've obviously also got Bertrand, who's got a clause that potentially can be triggered for another year with him. With both of them, the club will obviously have what they want. Presumably the players will have what they want as well. Is that why you say at the minute it's too early? Because presumably at the end of the season you'll want to really hone down on both them, what they want, what they see their future being, and does that align with the club?
Yeah, it has to be aligned. Otherwise we can't move forward. And so the conversation is always open between Flo and the player and the agent, and I'm in the loop as well, because I make the choice every weekend, and for the future we have many conversations with Flo about how we want to build the squad and what could be the opportunities on the market as well. So it's dynamic, and I think the most important is to be honest and clear with the player.
Yeah, I just want to talk, just while we're on about players and futures and things, one of the players that are away from the club on loan, I think that there's some who we probably all accept might not come back. There's some obviously like Simon Adingra, where there's clauses that might be out of your hands. What about Jensen Seals, who obviously started the season, didn't he? Played the first game, maybe the first 2 games, then went to Wolfsburg, probably hasn't played an awful lot of football over there. Is he someone who you're looking forward to getting back? Does he have a future? Have you been keeping an eye on him? Has there been contact with him? Where's all that?
Yeah, sure. He got an injury, so he's in rehab process now.
Still rehab now?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So he will be back at the beginning of the next season, and we'll see, because he's a good player, and we'll have a conversation with him to see how it goes. Yeah.
And on Man United, just last one from me. Ahmad, obviously a player who was here, played a massive part in the season when he was here. Real fans' favourite, still has a real affection for Sunderland, I think. I'm sure we'll get a good reaction at the weekend. Were you aware of kind of his links here, and what do you think of him and as a player and what he's done at Man United?
Good winger.
Yeah.
And I think he's creative, excellent footballer, and with this ability to threaten the final third.
Yeah.
So he has everything to be a strong winger. After that, the competition in Manchester United is high.
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't play as enough. Like he would like to play much more, but if he wants to play with us, why not? We'll be happy. Sure. Yeah. But probably not on Saturday.
No, probably not.
Just kind of on the theme of wingers maybe. Going back to what you were saying to Phil before about Nilsson, Bertrand and Jocelyn, I know you may be in a position now where you said before you don't have to rush them back, but are you quite keen, especially for Nilsson and Jocelyn maybe, to kind of get minutes if they're able to, build the back up so you they're in a position going into pre-season then next season where they have had that Premier League experience?
Yes, for the subs, we'll manage to win the game, and probably our main vision is to manage just the 95 minutes we have, and without taking into account the status of a player. If we need a winger, and I think it could influence the game, the output of the game, we'll use the winger. But if we don't need a winger because we have to defend a bit more, I don't know, we'll make a different decision. So after that, the pre-season will be different because we have time and room to experience different situations, always different. But here, it's about winning. It's about managing the game with this idea.
It must be particularly frustrating for Nilsson and Jocelyn kind of coming into the club and having a couple of appearances and then getting those injuries. Just what kind of talks have there been between you guys and themselves about that?
So it shows that when you start together, you get a real advantage, and when you come in the winter transfer window, it's always hard to adapt because the train is going fast, really fast, and the previous culture is already there, and it's hard to connect even if they are really good lads. So it's about rhythm, it's about knowledge, it's about shared experiences and so on. So they are really good players. They connected well, but got injuries. Is it a coincidence, an accident? I don't know. But we can understand that the timelines were different, and it's hard to connect during this period. After that, they are training well, they are positive, and maybe they will have opportunities, we'll see.
I know you spoke a little bit about Talby after the Bulls game and kind of his potential and stuff, but I was wondering what specific things you've seen from him in his development and how he's progressed as a player since joining in the summer.
Is it Jocelyn or Shamsin? Tabi,
yeah,
Talbi. Yeah.
Just had to double check.
Be careful. Yeah. So yes, Shamsin is really young, so it's really important to think about his age, his experience. He's 20, and he's doing well with his maturity, and we can't buy experience. So he had good spells where you can see, oh, he's a really good player. He can repeat sprints at high intensity. He can feel the game. But on the other hand, sometimes it's a bit inconsistent, especially in his end product. And it's about maturity and experience. So we believe that his mentality, his profile are really good, and we have a good future ahead. At the same time, we'll always need support to go across different experiences and negative when you are in the final third. The last action is key, so it could go in the top corner or out of the pitch. And sometimes it's just a question of confidence, experience. It happened for Habib, for example. Habib is a great player, but always need experience and support. So I think Shamsin is in this situation. Yeah.
Just lastly from me, you play in the United side under Carrick, who really, really grown. I was wondering what kind of specific changes you've seen in them under him so far.
The structure is a bit different, but I think it's about momentum, confidence, freedom now, because they reached probably their target to be in the Champions League at the end of the season. And they still have good players, top level players. So probably the confidence is totally different, and sometimes the momentum can shift, and you don't really know why, how, when, but it happened. And now we will face a really strong team. Yeah.
When you mentioned the stability and the core of the squad, does that mean that you think in August, in your first team sheet in August, you will have 7 or 8 names from Saturday's team in that team sheet?
Probably, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. So you're thinking along those lines.
Yeah.
So does that sense of continuity give you strength and a sense of unity? Or?
Yeah, I think so, because for example, we had the conversation with performance staff just before, so we know exactly how we will work next season, at the beginning of next season, and we have references together, and about the tactical side, we won't start from scratch. We will start with 38 games behind us. So it means 38 weeks of prep, 38 reviews, and so on. So the culture now is bigger, and we have the level of details. It's not about the first layers. We are probably at the third, the fourth, the fifth, I don't know. So it's always important to reinforce the foundations, because you don't start to speak about details if the foundations are not good. But with stability, you can think that you'll have this platform.
It's just that I think there's an idea that because some players have done so well, they will be transfer targets for other clubs. But you still feel that there'll be enough continuity for that not to be a factor.
Yeah, I think so, because I think the club doesn't need to sell. After that, in football, you never know what happened with a big offer. So we'll see.
So that gives you a sense of confidence already about next season. That's what I mean.
Yes, less unpredictability,
Yeah.
but unpredictability is the structure of football, of life. So less.